Recorded Books and One Click Digital present The World According to Bob by James Bowen. Narrated by Kristopher Milnes.
There is something about the presence of a cat that seems to take the bite out of being alone. Louis Camuti. If man could be crossed with the cat, it would improve man but deteriorate the cat. Mark Twain. Chapter 1. The Night Watchman. It had been one of those days, the type where anything that could go wrong had gone wrong. It had begun when my alarm had failed to go off and I'd overslept, which meant that my cat Bob and I were already running late when we set off to catch the bus near my flat in Tottenham, North London, on our way to Islington, where I sold the homeless magazine The Big Issue. We were barely 5 minutes into our journey when things went from bad to worse. Bob was sitting in his usual position, half asleep on the seat next to me, when he suddenly lifted his head, looking around suspiciously. In the 2 years since I'd met him, Bob's ability to sniff trouble had been pretty near infallible. Within moments, the bus was filled with an acrid, burning smell, and the panicked driver was announcing that our journey was being terminated and we all had to get off immediately. It wasn't quite the evacuation of the Titanic, but the bus was 3/4 full, so there was a lot of chaotic pushing and jostling. Bob didn't seem in a rush, so we left them to it, and were among the last to get off, which, as it turned out, was a wise decision. The bus may have smelled awful, but at least it was warm. We'd come to a halt opposite a new building site, from where icy winds were whipping in at a rate of knots. I was glad that while dashing out of my flat, I'd hurriedly wrapped a particularly thick woolen scarf around Bob's neck. The crisis turned out to be nothing more serious than an overheated engine, but the driver had to wait for a bus company mechanic to fix it. So amid much grumbling and complaining, about 24 of us were left standing on the freezing cold pavement for almost half an hour while we waited for a replacement bus. The late morning traffic was terrible, so by the time Bob and I hopped off at our destination, Islington Green, we'd been on the road for more than an hour and a half. We were now seriously late. I was going to miss the lunchtime rush, one of the most lucrative times for selling the magazine. As usual, the 5-minute walk to our pitch at Angel Tube Station was a stop-start affair. It always was when I had Bob with me. Sometimes I walked with him on a leather lead, but more often than not, we travelled with him perched on my shoulders, gazing.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?